The day I buried my daughter, I also lost my grandchildren, standing in the rain at Cedar Grove Cemetery. I watched Thomas usher 7-year-old Emma and 5-year-old James into his black SUV, their small faces pressed against the window, hands waving goodbye. I didn't know then that it would be the last time I'd see them for months. My name is William Anderson, and until last week I was living the peaceful life of a 65-year-old retired judge, sharing Sunday dinners with my daughter Sarah, her husband Thomas, and my beloved grandchildren. Now I stood alone in the rain, clutching an envelope my father had given me 15 years ago, months before his own death. "Keep this safe," William Gates said, his hands shaking as he sealed the envelope with dark red wax. "Open it only if Thomas tries to take the kids. Sarah knows what's inside. She helped me prepare it." I'd stored it in my safe, dismissing it as the paranoid musings of a dying man. My father had never fully trusted Thomas, but I'd written it off as the natural suspicion of a wealthy man worried about fortune hunters. Now, as I watched Thomas drive away with my grandchildren, those suspicions didn't seem so paranoid anymore. "Mr. Anderson." Thomas's lawyer approached, his expensive suit repelling raindrops like oil on water. "My client wishes to inform you that the children will be relocating to Switzerland next week. He's accepted a position with a private banking firm." "Switzerland?" My voice cracked. "But their whole lives are here, their school, their friends." "Mrs. Blackwoods will give Mr. Blackwood full custody and complete control of all assets," the lawyer continued, his voice clinical, "including the Anderson Family Trust." The trust, generations of careful investment and planning, meant to protect our family for centuries to come. Sarah had been its sole trustee, a position she'd inherited from my father. Now, apparently, it belonged to Thomas. "There must be some mistake," I said. "The trust has strict conditions, which Mrs. Blackwood altered 3 months ago," he interrupted, handing me a document. Everything was properly notarized and witnessed. I stared at Sarah's signature, so familiar yet somehow wrong. She'd never mentioned changing the trust, never hinted at moving to Switzerland. Something wasn't right. That night, alone in my study, I finally broke the wax seal on my father's envelope. Inside, I found a letter written in his precise handwriting, along with a USB drive and a key to a safety deposit box. "My dear William, if you're reading this, then our worst fears have come true. Sarah and I discovered something about Thomas 3 months into their marriage, something that made us realize we needed to protect the children's future. The USB drive contains evidence of Thomas's past. 3 failed businesses, 2 previous marriages, both to wealthy women who died under mysterious circumstances, a pattern of fraud that spans continents. Sarah helped me document everything. We created a parallel trust, hidden from Thomas, transferring the real assets while leaving him a shell to control. The safety deposit box at First National contains all the necessary legal documents. But most importantly, it contains Sarah's true will, written the day we finished our investigation. If anything happened to her, she wanted the children protected from him. Don't confront Thomas directly. Take everything to Judge Harrison Montgomery first. He's been expecting this for 15 years. Be careful, son. Thomas is more dangerous than he appears. Love, Dad." I sat back, my hands shaking. Sarah had known. All these years she'd known what Thomas was and had helped create a safety net for her children. But why hadn't she left him? The next morning, I drove to First National Bank. The safety deposit box key felt heavy in my pocket. Inside the bank, an elderly manager recognized me immediately. "Judge Anderson," she smiled. "We've been holding this box for a very long time." The box contained exactly what my father had promised: legal documents, photographs, bank records. Sarah's real will, dated just 3 months ago, and a letter in my daughter's handwriting, dated the day before her fatal car accident. "Dad, if you're reading this, then Thomas has made his move. The accident wasn't an accident. He's been watching our accounts and noticed the irregular transfers. I tried to be careful, but he's getting suspicious. The children's trust is safe. Everything important has been moved to accounts only you can access. The documentation is all here. His real identity, his previous wives, everything Dad and I discovered. Get the kids away from him, Dad. Use everything we've prepared. Judge Montgomery knows what to do. I love you. Sarah." My hands trembled as I read her last words. Sarah had known she was in danger, had prepared for it, had trusted me to protect her children. I took everything to Judge Montgomery's office, my old friend from the bench. He was already waiting, as if he'd known this day would come. Finally, he said, examining the documents, "We've been watching Thomas Blackwood for 15 years, waiting for him to make a mistake. Your father and Sarah built the perfect trap. The children," I began, "are still U.S. citizens," Montgomery finished. "He can't take them out of the country without proper documentation. Documentation that, as of this morning, has been suspended pending investigation." The next few hours were a blur of legal activity. Federal agents were called. Bank accounts were frozen. The carefully constructed parallel trust sprang into action, revealing the true ownership of the Anderson family assets. By sunset, Thomas's plan to flee to Switzerland had crumbled. The police were waiting at his house, arrest warrant in hand, when he tried to leave with the children. I arrived just in time to see him being led away in handcuffs, his face contorted with rage as he realized the depth of Sarah's and my father's planning. "Grandpa." Emma and James ran to me, throwing themselves into my arms. I held them tight, feeling their small hearts beating against my chest. "You're safe now," I whispered. "You're safe." Later that night, after the children were asleep in their old rooms at my house, I sat in my father's study, surrounded by 15 years of careful preparation. Sarah's real will named me as the children's guardian. The trust was intact, its assets protected by layers of legal safeguards. My phone buzzed. "Judge Montgomery, Thomas is talking. 2 previous wives confirmed dead. International warrants issued. Your father and Sarah built an airtight case." I looked at the family photo on my desk. Sarah at her law school graduation, standing between me and my father. She'd known the risks, had spent years documenting Thomas's crimes while playing the perfect wife, all to protect her children. "We did it, sweetheart," I whispered to her picture. "The kids are safe. He'll never hurt anyone again." Emma appeared in the doorway, clutching her stuffed rabbit. "Grandpa, can you tell me a story?" I opened my arms, and she climbed into my lap. "How about I tell you a story about your mom when she was little? About how brave she was?" Emma nodded, snuggling closer. As I began the story, I could almost feel Sarah and my father watching, their years of careful planning finally bearing fruit. The children were safe, the family legacy protected. Justice would be served. Sometimes I realize the greatest acts of love are the ones we never see, until it's time to open an envelope sealed with red wax, carrying the weight of generations of protection and care. The morning after Thomas's arrest, I sat in Judge Montgomery's chambers, watching as federal agents unpacked 15 years of evidence. My father and Sarah had created a masterpiece of documentation. Every transaction, every suspicious death, every false identity Thomas had used. "Your daughter was brilliant," Agent Diana Foster said, spreading photographs across the desk. She kept a detailed diary of everything, encrypted it to look like children's stories. The timestamps matched perfectly with Thomas's movements. I picked up one of the photos. Thomas under a different name with his first wife in Vienna. 6 months later, she died in a hiking accident. The insurance payout had been substantial. "We found this in Sarah's safety deposit box," Montgomery said, handing me a USB drive different from the one in my father's envelope. "It's footage from your family's lake house. Security cameras caught something interesting 3 weeks ago." The video showed Thomas in a heated phone conversation, pacing on the dock. The audio was clear. "The old man's getting suspicious. No, I can't wait any longer. The trust transfer has to happen now. Just make it look like an accident, like the others." My hands clenched. 3 days after that conversation, Sarah's brake lines had failed on Mountain View Road. "There's more," Agent Foster said quietly. "We found evidence of a wider network. Thomas wasn't working alone. There's a group that specializes in helping people like him target wealthy families." Emma's voice drifted in from the outer office, where she was drawing with one of the victim support counselors. The sound of her laughter felt like a miracle after everything we discovered. "The children," I said. "What do they know?" Montgomery sighed. "James is too young, but Emma, Sarah left a special letter for her. Said to give it to her when she's 18. Your daughter was protecting them even in the future." A knock at the door. Harrison Peters, my father's old private investigator, now semi-retired but still sharp as ever. "Found something at the house," he said, placing a laptop on the desk. Hidden compartment in Thomas's office. Records of every woman he targeted over the past 20 years. Your Sarah wasn't the first, but she was the smartest. The laptop contained a goldmine of information. Thomas had been meticulous in his own way, tracking his cons, his victories, his plans. He'd never imagined his victims would be even more thorough. Sarah started suspecting something 3 months into the marriage, I explained, remembering my father's letter. She went to Dad first, worried about the children's future. Your father was a legend on the bench, Montgomery said with a faint smile, known for seeing through complex financial frauds. Together, they built an insurance policy that would outlive them both. Agent Foster's phone buzzed. Thomas is asking for a deal. Says he'll name his associates in exchange for leniency. No deals, I said firmly. Sarah and Dad left us everything we need. The next few hours were a parade of revelations. International wire transfers, false identities, a network of corrupt lawyers and bankers who helped Thomas and others like him target wealthy families. James appeared at the door, clutching his dinosaur toy. Grandpa, can we go home? Home, such a complicated word now. Soon, buddy. Just a little longer. Harrison pulled me aside while the agents entertained James. Will, there's something else. Sarah left a video message. Want to see it privately? We moved to Montgomery's private office. Harrison inserted a small memory card into his laptop. And suddenly there was Sarah looking directly at me. Hi, Dad. If you're watching this, then everything we feared has happened. But don't be sad, be proud. Dad and I built something amazing together. We didn't just protect our family, we created a way to protect others. She held up a folder. In here is everything you need to start the Anderson Family Protection Foundation. Use our documentation, our methods, our experience to help other families spot predators like Thomas before it's too late. My throat tightened. Even facing death, she had thought beyond herself. The children know you'll protect them, she continued. Emma's smarter than she lets on. She's been keeping her own little diary, just like I taught her. And James, he'll need extra stories about bravery. Tell him about Grandpa's cases. The video ended with her smile, the one I had missed so desperately. Love you, Dad. Take care of our legacy. Harrison closed the laptop gently. She was remarkable, Will. Kept her cover perfect while building an ironclad case. Thomas never suspected she was the one documenting everything. Back in the main office, Emma was showing Agent Foster her drawings. This is Mommy's special box, she explained, pointing to a detailed sketch of Sarah's safety deposit box. She took me there sometimes, said it was our secret adventure. I realized Sarah had been preparing Emma all along, teaching her about secrets and safety in ways a child could understand. Montgomery gathered everyone's attention. The Swiss authorities just confirmed. Thomas's accounts there are frozen. The attempt to transfer your family's assets failed. Everything remains under the protected trust Sarah established. And the foundation? I asked. Ready to launch whenever you are. Sarah left detailed blueprints for helping other families identify and escape similar situations. I gathered the children, getting the weight of responsibility and possibility. Ready to go home. They nodded, taking my hands. As we left the office, I heard Montgomery on the phone. Yes, Your Honor. The Anderson case is breaking open 3 cold cases in Europe. Similar MO, same network. At home, Emma and James settled into their familiar routines. Homework, play, dinner. But now I noticed small things. Emma's careful organization of her diary, James's questions about his mother's bravery. That night, after they were asleep, I sat in my study with Sarah's files. The foundation paperwork was impeccable. She and Dad had thought of everything. Resources for families, warning signs to watch for, methods of protecting assets. My phone buzzed with updates. Thomas's network crumbling, associates turning on each other, hidden accounts revealed. Sarah's evidence was toppling a decades-old criminal enterprise. Your mom and grandpa were heroes, I whispered to the sleeping house. They protected you, and now they'll protect others too. Tomorrow would bring more revelations, more work, more healing. But tonight, in the quiet of my study, surrounded by the proof of my daughter's courage and my father's foresight, I felt something beyond grief. Pride, purpose, and the certainty that their legacy would live on through the lives we'd save. 3 months after Thomas's arrest, I watched Emma and James play in the backyard of our family home, their laughter slowly returning. The Anderson Family Protection Foundation was taking shape, turning our personal tragedy into a shield for others. Grandpa, look, Emma called, showing me her new diary. A proper one this time, with a lock. I'm writing everything down, just like Mommy did. Her resilience amazed me. At 7, she understood more than we had realized. The counselor said she'd been observing, learning, following her mother's example of quiet strength. Inside, Agent Foster was reviewing new cases with our foundation team. 5 families have come forward since the news broke, she explained. All with similar stories. The predators follow a handbook. We're calling it the Black Widow Protocol. The protocol was devastatingly simple. Target wealthy families with complex trust structures. Insert yourself through marriage. Isolate the victim from family. Transfer assets gradually. Stage an accident. Move on. Sarah documented every step, Harrison said, spreading her coded notes across my desk. She recognized the pattern from Dad's old cases. That's why she played along, building evidence while appearing vulnerable. The foundation had hired forensic accountants, private investigators, and family counselors. We were creating a network to catch these predators before they could strike. My phone buzzed. Judge Montgomery. Thomas took the deal, naming names. 17 active operators identified across 3 continents. James wandered in, clutching a photo of Sarah. Can you tell me the brave story again, Grandpa? I pulled him onto my lap. The brave story had become our nightly ritual, how his mother and grandfather had worked together to protect their family's future. Your mom, I began, was like a secret superhero. She saw bad things happening and decided to stop them, not just for us, but for everyone. Agent Foster smiled, watching us. She'd become part of our extended family, understanding that healing the children was as important as catching the criminals. We found another one, she said softly, after James returned to the garden. Boston family. Daughter died 6 months ago, car accident. Husband trying to take the children abroad. Get me everything, I said. And contact victim services for the kids. The foundation's work was expanding faster than we had imagined. Sarah's detailed documentation had created a template for investigating these cases. Her methods were being taught at FBI seminars. Emma came in with her diary. I wrote about Thomas today, she said carefully, about how Mommy knew he was bad but stayed brave to protect us. I hugged her close, marveling at her understanding. The counselor said writing was her way of processing, just like her mother. Harrison arrived with new files. The Boston case matches perfectly. Same lawyers, same offshore accounts. Sarah's evidence gives us probable cause for immediate intervention. That was how it worked now, using Sarah's documentation to short-circuit these operations before they could complete their deadly cycle. Show me, I said, pulling up chairs. Emma stayed, listening quietly as we worked. She earned the right to understand, to see how her mother's courage was saving others. The afternoon brought more developments. Thomas's network was unraveling fast. His associates, facing evidence they couldn't fight, were turning on each other. 6 children saved this week, Agent Foster reported. Families protected before the accidents could happen. Your daughter's work, it's changing everything. I looked at Sarah's photo on my desk. She had sacrificed herself to build an unshakable case, to protect not just her children but countless others. The foundation's hotline rang constantly now. Families sharing suspicious patterns. Lawyers requesting our protocols. Police departments asking for training. Grandpa, Emma said suddenly, can we make a special garden for Mommy, with her favorite flowers? Of course, sweetheart. And can we put a bench there, for other families who need help? My throat tightened. She had grasped the foundation's purpose perfectly, creating a place of both memory and hope. James joined us, showing a drawing. I made Mommy as a superhero, he announced, fighting bad guys with her special diary. The image brought tears, a caped figure holding a book, protecting smaller figures behind her. His therapist said art was helping him process the truth in age-appropriate ways. Agent Foster's phone buzzed. Thomas's sentencing date is set. The network's key players are in custody. Sarah's evidence held up perfectly. The foundation's work would continue long after Thomas was sentenced. Sarah and my father had designed it that way, a lasting legacy of protection and justice. Emma tugged my sleeve. Can I help? With the foundation? I want to be brave like Mommy. You already are, I told her. Every time you tell your story, every time you help another child understand, you're being brave. Harrison gathered the day's files. The Boston family's children are safe. Emergency custody order granted. They're flying in tomorrow. Thought the kids might want to meet. That was how we worked now, connecting families, sharing strength, building a community of survivors and protectors. The evening brought more calls, more cases, more evidence of the network's reach. But it also brought hope. Each case we stopped was a family saved, a tragedy prevented. Later, reading the children their bedtime story, I noticed Emma had added to her diary. For other kids, she'd written, "You're not alone. Your family will protect you." Sarah would have been proud. Her daughter had inherited not just her courage, but her desire to help others. Outside, the garden space Emma had chosen for Sarah's memorial was visible in the moonlight. Soon it would bloom with her favorite flowers, offering solace to families finding their way to us. My phone's final message of the day was from Judge Montgomery. Sarah's methods are being adopted nationally. Standard protocol now for suspected Black Widow cases. She's still saving lives. I looked at my sleeping grandchildren, thinking of Sarah's last video message. We hadn't just protected our family, we created something that would protect families for generations to come. The Foundation's work would continue tomorrow. More cases, more families, more children to protect. But tonight, watching Emma and James sleep peacefully, I knew we had honored Sarah's sacrifice in the best possible way, by turning her courage into a legacy of protection, hope, and justice. 1 year after Sarah's death, I stood in her memorial garden, watching Emma show another young girl her diary. The girl, daughter of our latest rescued family, was learning that she wasn't alone. That's what the Anderson Family Protection Foundation had become, a place of healing and connection. My mommy was brave too, Emma explained, sharing her special bench with a newcomer. She protected lots of people. Now we help other families. The foundation had exceeded all expectations. 37 families saved, 23 predators arrested, over $200 million in assets recovered. But the real success was measured in moments like this, children finding their voices, sharing their strength. James played nearby with other kids from protected families, their laughter a testament to resilience. He wore his Junior Protector badge, created by the Foundation for Children Helping Other Children Heal. "The network is finished," Agent Foster said, joining me by the roses. Sarah's favorites. Thomas's sentencing is next week. Life without parole. The evidence was perfect. The Foundation's headquarters, built behind our family home, bustled with activity. Legal teams, counselors, investigators, all using Sarah's methods to identify and stop predators before they could strike. 2 more families coming in tomorrow, Harrison reported. They recognized the warning signs from our handbook, Sarah's handbook. The Black Widow Protocol was now taught at law enforcement academies nationwide. Sarah's detailed documentation had become the gold standard for investigating similar cases. Emma approached with her new friend. "Can we show her mommy's special room?" The special room was our memorial library where we kept Sarah's diaries, my father's case files, and resources for families. The walls held photos of everyone we'd helped, a growing testament to Sarah's legacy. "Your mom," the young girl said softly. She knew the bad man was coming. She knew, Emma nodded. But she stayed brave and made a plan. Now we help other people make plans too. Judge Montgomery arrived for our weekly foundation meeting. The Boston case closed today. Families' assets restored. Children safe. All thanks to Sarah's templates. The foundation had expanded beyond our initial scope. We now offered emergency housing, counseling services, and educational support for affected families. Sarah's thorough planning had considered every aspect of recovery. James joined us, proudly showing his latest drawing, the foundation's logo surrounded by happy families. At 6, he understood his role as a helper for sad kids, as he put it. "Mr. Anderson," our receptionist called. "The support group is ready to start." Tuesday evenings were for new families, gathering in Sarah's garden to share stories and strength. Emma and James always participated, showing other children how to be brave like mommy. Sometimes, Emma told the group, being brave means writing things down. Sometimes it means helping others. My mommy did both. The garden filled with families at different stages of healing. Some newly rescued, others returning to support newcomers. all connected by Sarah's legacy of protection and hope. Harrison brought the latest statistics: 50 pending cases identified using Sarah's markers, 8 countries adopting our protocols, hundreds of families reaching out for guidance. She would have loved this, I said, watching Emma lead another child to the special bench, seeing them heal, helping others. She did love it, Agent Foster smiled. She built it knowing exactly what it would become. The sun set over Sarah's garden, casting long shadows across the roses. Inside, the foundation teams worked on, protecting more families, saving more children, honoring her sacrifice. Emma's diary entry for the day read, "Helped a new friend today. Showed her mommy's brave garden. Now she knows she's not alone." James added his own note in crayon. "Drew pictures with sad kids, made them happy. Mommy helps us help them." The foundation would continue growing, reaching more families, stopping more predators. But its heart would always be here, in this garden where children learned to be brave, where families found hope, where Sarah's legacy bloomed eternal. Ready for story time? I asked my grandchildren. They nodded, gathering their new friends. Together on Sarah's bench, surrounded by her roses, we shared the story of a mother's love, a grandfather's wisdom, and a family's determination to protect others. In the end, that was Sarah's greatest gift, not just saving her own children, but creating a way to save so many more. Through the foundation, through Emma's quiet strength, through James's healing art, her courage lived on. The garden lights came on as evening fell, illuminating the plaque that read, "The Sarah Anderson Memorial Garden, where courage blooms and families heal." Tomorrow would bring new cases, new families, new challenges. But tonight, watching my grandchildren share their mother's story of bravery and love, I knew we'd fulfilled her final wish. We turned her sacrifice into salvation for others, her courage into comfort for the afraid, her love into a legacy that would protect families for generations to come. In Sarah's garden, hope bloomed eternal.